Now, I want to play this video because I promised it to you, because this is like the shredding of Black Lives Matter.
Certainly, there are some folks in this community that are legitimately grieving, and we heard from them. We heard a lot of folks who believe the First Amendment only applies to them and took great pains to shout down anybody that disagreed with them, despite my own.
So right there, he's calling them out on the fact that, they don't play by the same rules and they think that their speech is better than everybody else's. 100% true. This is a feature of the left, not a bug. I've done a video about repressive tolerance and why they do this. And I just wait until he gets the question. Because people are trying to get at him for not feeling.
Ongoing disagreements with the police union. I have to say that their members tonight conducted themselves, I thought, with great restraint, given the ad hominem invective that was being unleashed on their work personally and the police department generally. So, this is a controversy. This is a tragedy. I've said it over and over again. It's a tragedy for the family, tragedy for Officer Manning. It's a tragedy for the community. And I'm not blind to the fact that there's a lot of people lining up to take advantage of this tragedy to flog their own agendas, and that was clear tonight as well.
Yep. So, of course, he's calling it out because I believe this was in Milwaukee, and we saw the rioting in there. And I believe this case was open and shut upon scrutiny, the one that they're referring to, but I don't know specifically, so I'm not gonna get into it. But yeah, so calm guy, cop, obviously, got the salt and pepper hair, been on the force for a long time. He's seen this nonsense, and he knows just from being around the country what happens when, a situation like this happens, what's on the rise for his department. So he's saying, he's giving you his honest take. But wait, he's about to get a question, and it's going to be amazing.
You're accused of saying something to one of the protesters or one of the people in the stands. He accused you of...
He was making so much noise, I have no idea what he's talking about, but he feels insulted. Too bad.
What's your response to some of the people that thought you were being disrespectful by being on your phone and not being attentive to them?
Well, I was on my phone. And
okay. So first, I didn't realize that there was a first question there. Totally dismisses the guy. He's like, I couldn't understand him. This is probably because the guy was a whinging leftist who was incoherent. But the phone question, and he sets it up. He's like, well, I was on my phone. And he has that calmness in his voice because the storm is coming. It's like the tsunami when the water recedes. I'm like Tim Pool now. I'm watching videos on the internet, not doing any editing, and I'm giving you weird analogies. So it's like the water recedes prior to the tsunami. That's what you're seeing right now. So the water's receding. He's like, I am on my phone. So they're like, ooh, a conciliation from this officer. Got him. Wrong.
And yes, that's true. I was following developments with a 5-year-old little girl sitting on her dad's lap who just got shot in the head by a drive-by shooting. And if some of the people here gave a good goddamn about the victimization of people in this community by crime, I take some of their invective more seriously. The greatest racial disparity in the city of Milwaukee is getting shot and killed. Hello. 80% of my homicide victims every year are African American. 80% of our aggravated assault victims are African American. 80% of our shooting victims who survived their shooting are African American. Now, they know all about the last 3 people that have been killed by the Milwaukee Police Department over the course of the last several years. There's not one of them can name one of the last 3 homicide victims we've had in this city. Now, there's room for everybody to participate in fixing this police department, and I'm not pretending we're without sin. But this community is at risk, all right. And it's not because men and women in blue risk their lives protecting it. It's at risk because we have large numbers of high-capacity, quality firearms in the hands of remorseless criminals who don't care who they shoot.
Devastated. Come on. This dude had to have that rehearsed. He had this. It's so boss, the way that he just chopped them down, that it seems like he took out his phone in the middle of the thing, made sure everybody saw him on his phone, just so some idiot can come up and ask this question. Whatever reporter asked that question just walked into a buzzsaw. And you look at like the seriousness on his face, and like these people are stunned. Unfortunately, these are the only two people in frame. I would have loved to have seen the two people who actually asked the question. That was a knockout, like obliterated, game over. Like, where's this guy? Can this guy run for president? Like, I'll vote for him. If I found out he was a Democrat and he voted Democrat his entire life, I would still vote for him. Like, that's how fucking savage that was. Just smoked them. Unbelievable. Was he fired for that? Was he fired for this? No. This was back in the day. Like, this was Milwaukee when they had their riots. When riots weren't a nationwide thing, and I'm nostalgia for the time when riots were just regional. He had his riots. Somebody's like, he's not a Democrat. I know. That's why it's a no risk bluff for me to say that I would vote for him if he was a Democrat. But when riots were regional and based on like a shooting in your area led to rioting in your area, this was back from that long forgotten time, not when they became national. Like, he literally just like, where's the that laser eye thing? Like, if any man deserves it, it's him. This savage. He literally melted her face. Like, and he melted these two people's face. They're not even happy. Like, you could see it. Like, I wish there was a zoom, but the best I could do is full screen it. Like, do you see these two women in frame? And I don't want to pick on them because they're the only two people in frame. He melted their faces. They're stunned. They're shook. Like, they're going to go home and be like, today I saw a person, a reporter, a fellow colleague get massacred by a police officer, and he didn't even draw a weapon.
Now I'm leaving here to go to that scene. And I take it personally, okay? We're going up there and there's a bunch of cops processing a scene of a dead kid. And they're the ones that are going to be out there patrolling and stopping suspects, and they have guns under the front seat. They're the ones that are going to take the risks of their lives to try to clean this thing up. All right? We're responsible for the things we get wrong, and we take action. We've arrested cops, we've fired cops, and so on. But the fact is that the people out here, some of them who had the most to say, are absolutely MIA when it comes to the true threats facing this community. And it gets a little tiresome. And when you start getting yelled at for reading the updates of the kid that got shot, yeah, you take it personal, okay?
Savage in every way humanly possible. Like, you thought he was done, but he came back for another one to wrap it up and put a bow on it. And by the way, we finally have somebody else in view, in frame. You can see that cop in the background right there. And he's like raising his head. Like this guy's obviously the superior officer, the salt and pepper guy right here. Chief Flynn, obviously he's a rank chief, right? It says November 6th. Like, this, again, that's close to election day. Vote for Chief Flynn. Like, the officer back there is like, respect. These two women are so devastated. Like, they have nothing to say. It's over. Like, Chief Flynn just took him out.
Now, no offense, but I'm going up there now.
And he walks away. Come on. And this is where the video comes from. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Milwaukee Sentinel. And then he walks away. Leaves the room like a boss. Indisputable. Completely badass. Like, just smoked them. Like, I don't even know if they asked him any other questions. He mic dropped. He wasn't even holding the mic, but all the reporters dropped their mics in shame. Like, they just got shamed. Like, when that guy's Commissioner Gordon. Like, all he needs is his Batman, and he will clean up Milwaukee in like 2 weeks. Like, come on. Like, come on.
He was
Attentive to them.
some of their invective more seriously. The greatest racial disparity in the city of Milwaukee is getting shot and killed. Hello. 80% of my homicide victims every year are African American. 80% of our aggravated assault victims are African American. 80% of our shooting victims who survived their shooting are African American. Now, they know all about the last 3 people that have been killed by the Milwaukee Police Department over the course of the last several years. There's not one of them can name one of the last 3 homicide victims we've had in this city. Now, there's room for everybody to participate in fixing this police department. And
All right. So I think my favorite part,
Of people in this community by crime. I take some of
so when he says hello, like just so he can make sure that they're hearing him, he's like staring somebody in the face, the person that asked him the question. It's devastating. And like these activists like to shout down people of opposing opinions and all that. Like this guy could give this speech anywhere and anybody would stop and listen. Like, but yeah, my literal favorite part is the hello.
And yes, that's true. I was following developments with a 5-year-old little girl sitting on her dad's lap who just got shot in the head by a drive-by shooting. And if some of the people here gave a good goddamn about the victimization of people in this community by crime, I take some of their invective more seriously. The greatest racial disparity in the city of Milwaukee is getting shot and killed. Hello.
That come on, that's my favorite part, the hello, because he just calls their attention. Also, like these two women that I was watching for like a reaction, I'm actually gonna like amend my testimony for the court and say like this woman kind of holds still the whole time, the woman with the green scarf, but also like I don't know if it's like the perspective or she's actually wearing all of those flowers on her head. But my point is, it looks like the plant in the background is a hat that she's wearing. And the fact that she doesn't move is strange. But also this woman that was like also staring at him, like she's like lowering her head right now. But that hello is like a call to attention. Like, and it's like, it's all, like respectful, which makes it even worse because it's all in like official speak, but there's like anger to it. And he ramps up to it. He totally Tywin Lannisters them. Like, you ever watch one of those good scenes with Tywin Lannister, what he'll do is he'll like slam his hand down at the table and get everybody's attention. And then he'll bring down his voice so that you kind of have to like listen closer to the things that he's saying. Like, it's a total control power move. So somebody was like dilly-dallying. He didn't like it. So that's why he was like, hello. And then he continued on to shred them and all of their dreams and hopes of being reporters and activists.